So there's some of the fun facts in terms of absolute waste. And that waste is beyond that. There's also just kind of, and there was another segment done several months later, there's extensive harvesting of chips from other devices, network switches, routers, access points, things of that nature, which are then resold to manufacturers of quote-unquote new items. And it's a very active market whereby you're buying a brand new $1,200 stove from Sears and you have no idea whether there's in fact used chips being harvested from, and they actually did a similar sting to what they did with executive recycling with a company that remarketed those chipsets to U.S. technology companies, which was really fascinating. So what are the potential outlets for your obsolete equipment? Well, there's eBay and auctions, and it's very interesting. eBay has become the de facto, I guess, NADA used IT equipment guide for the value of IT equipment, and that's very honestly a crapshoot at best. It takes a significant investment in time to effectively sell them. You have to ensure that you are taking the steps to protect yourself in terms of security, obviously environmental responsibility, and there's the actual return on investment. I mean, we have another customer who we work with and have worked with for years, and previous to this, actually had a vice president, again, of their organization who was responsible for reselling the equipment. And then we had another customer who had several employees whose sole job was to sell equipment on eBay. Until they realized that those employees were taking half of the equipment and diverting the funds from the sale of those equipments to their personal accounts, their personal PayPal accounts, instead of the corporate PayPal accounts. Then there's redeployment. And once again, reuse is among the strongest and most effective asset recovery methods you can utilize. And that would include resale. And there's scrap, and there is effective ways to do that. But again, I would caution you, that's a process that costs businesses and consumers. It is not, and if someone is paying you for them, it is in all likelihood ending up in a container going someplace it shouldn't. In that second expose that I talked about, that 60 Minutes did, by the way, they went to South America instead of China, and in fact found asset tags from some very responsible entities, like the U.S. Coast Guard and MIT, and places that felt that they were doing the right thing. Then there's donations. We're going to talk a little bit more about that, because that is, there is incredible goodwill in you as a corporation or an institution donating equipment to charitable organizations. But there are some pitfalls. What I didn't put in there is employee sale. You're making the products available for your employees to use or to purchase at market value. But then what do you sell it to them for? How do you establish those values? And then there's asset recovery programs. Do's and don'ts of donating. As tremendous as it is to think that donating 150 computers to a school district or to a church or to a charitable organization is, don't donate your problems. CRT monitors, for all intents and purposes, if they're all pixelated and no longer working, and you know there's no remarkable value, you're essentially donating a $20 to $30 expense per monitor to those entities to properly dispose of them. Do use a professional to gauze your hard drives and to reconfigure equipment prior to it. Don't assume that it's going to leave your facility without passwords, without wireless networks configured, without the hard drives properly degauzed. And very honestly, in terms of market value, a PC or a laptop with no hard drive in it has little or no value. It's simply an empty shell. And the only way to truly protect yourself from a security and a security standpoint and a data security standpoint is to destroy the hard drive, and that would be to shred it or crush it. And that is, again, something that you're charged for. So the remarkable value of that asset is absolutely changed by merely destroying those drives, but destruction is the number one method for ensuring proper data destruction and security, as opposed to what used to be the official DoD triple wipe of drives, is no longer the standard bearer in the industry. You want to be absolutely certain that reputation risk, security, and reputation risk are being taken care of. Hard drive destruction is your only option. Do use a qualified tax advisor if you donate product, and do include manuals. One of the things that is very often happens, and we've seen it ourselves, when some of the equipment that we use and take for granted and understand and know how to configure and utilize to improve our overall organizations, our charitable organizations don't have a clue how to use it. A great example is there's a relatively small neighborhood center in Syracuse, that services 500 or 600 families. That someone donated a Cisco 6509 chassis with, fully populated with soup tubes and state-of-the-art networking and a 2800 series router. No clue how to use it. Absolutely no clue how to use it. So there it sits, undeployed, and losing value, but also not being utilized. Don't expect a nonprofit to be your dumping ground. It's easy. Don't violate the software company's non-transferable items. Every manufacturer has their own caveats. Just pay attention to those, and don't try to claim your purchase price as a tax exemption.